personally believe all our temples should become a place for center for service. So now the founder of this temple donated this temple and this place to Jnanapeetham. Through our Jnanapeetham, we'll be doing social services from this place. It will not be only a temple which will be worshipping Devi in God in statues. This will be a temple where Devi will be worshipped in the form of human beings also. So we believe in worshipping gods in the human forms also. Service done to the human beings, service done to the Devi or God. So we'll be having a Vedanta Vidyalaya, the 1 year free program for empowering the youth and other medical services or other services for these people who are in this locality. Above all, carrying our culture and spiritual tradition for ages to come will be done through this Jnanapeetham Center. Thank you. I welcome you all with my love and respect. I am very happy to be here and participate in this beautiful ceremony. I wanted to recognize beautiful service done to the world by doing this temple. It's a beautiful temple done with a lot of devotion. It is not built for any other purpose except the devotion for Mother, the true love for Divine Mother. I am so happy. And this place now will be the place for Jnanapeetham's center, Hyderabad center, and the spiritual activities like meditation programs and social service activities like medical camps or the programs for empowering the youth. All these things will be done from this place. I personally believe the temple should be a place where service is done not only to the statues, to the living human beings also. Temple should become a place where God is seen not only in the statues, in the human beings also. And those days, our ancient masters, rishis, they created the system of temple or the tradition of temple to bring people together, to infuse the spiritual ideals and ideologies into the people's life. Whatever is said and done, of course, again and again, these so-called intellectuals, as especially in America, again and again I am questioned by these intellectuals. They ask me, Hinduism is a religion of idol worship. Why are you worshipping idols? In Brazil, one person asked me, Swamiji, you speak so logically everything, and you are expressing everything very logically, scientifically. Why do you worship idols? And it is illogical. Why do you worship idols? I told him, In Hinduism, we don't have idol worship. Never think we have idol worship in Hinduism. We don't worship idols. We worship through idols. Worshipping through idol is different. Worshipping idol is different. You don't stand in front of stone and ask, oh stone, give me boon. Oh brass, give me boon. Do you ask? No. You say, oh Devi, give me boon. Oh Devi, take care of me. Oh mother, I feel grateful to you. We relate through idol. We worship through idol. But we don't worship the idol itself. In Hinduism, we don't have idol worship. Let it be very clear. We always think, even Hindus have got feeling, we have idol worship system. Especially this modern day youth. The youngsters, they think that idol worship is something low. Or idol worship is not for the people who are intelligent. Let us be very clear. Hindus don't worship idols. They worship through idols. When you stand here in the temple, you don't pray, oh stone, give me boon. Oh brass, please give me boon. No. You see God. When you see the God through the idol, you worship through the idol, not the idol itself. When you see the divine, the idea of stone is lost, idea of idol is lost. When you see it as idol, you will not see that as God. You see that as God, you will not see that as idol. I read a beautiful research done by a doctor. He went and stayed in the forest of Africa with the tribal people. They create the replicas of a particular human being, the size of a statue like that person. They handle that person handling the statue, through handling the statue. Means, if they want to disturb that person's health, particular person's health, they disturb the statue. Immediately the person falls ill. And if they want to heal the person, they heal the statue, the person becomes alright. It's a strange phenomena. Of course, very difficult to believe. But the doctor stayed with his research team, with the tribals for 30 years, not 1 year or 2 years. 30 years he spent with them, doing research how this is happening. How can this happen? How is it possible? Logically, you can't understand. It's like a magic. They make a statue just like you, and if they break the statue's hand, your hand is broken. If they heal the statue's hand, your hand is healed. How can it be? Like a story. But this doctor, out of curiosity, he stayed there, he spent 30 years with them to study what exactly is happening. What's the truth behind the whole phenomena? And he says after his research, after 30 years of research, he studied 300 incidents. Like these incidents, he studied 300 incidents. And he says 98% are truth. More than 98%, it exactly happened. It seems that he says beautifully, they will make a statue of a person who has got cancer. For example, if he has got throat cancer, they will make a statue. In the throat they will put a lump. And after certain rituals, they will remove that lump from the throat. The person will be healed. And he says he has studied 300 incidents. And 98% immediately the effect happened. And same way, if they want to kill somebody, some enemy, they will make the statue and break the statue. Within 10 days the person will die. And it's just unbelievable. But the doctor says, after my 30 years of research, I say, it happens. It is happening. And another amazing thing, very surprising thing, when they make the idol, when they make the statue of that person, they chant particular words to bring life to that statue, to bring life to that idol. I was surprised. It's almost Sanskrit words. Almost Sanskrit words. Then the doctor concludes one more thing. Not only they are able to relate with the living beings, they are able to relate with the elders who passed away. They are able to connect to the elders who are no more in the body. Just through the statues, through the idols. They chant some high frequency mantras and invoke their presence in that statues, and they start relating to the elders through that statues. When you can relate with the normal human beings through statues, why can't you relate with the all-pervading God, Almighty, through the idols? It is possible. And our ancestors, our rishis, they have known the science of relating with the divine energy through idols. That is why they created temples. Be very clear, our rishis are not fools to spend their whole life building temples. If you go all over India, there will not be a single village which doesn't have temple. Every village will have one temple. And especially South India, huge temples. When I was in America, one professor was boasting about his universities. I didn't tell him. Finally he said, he made a statement, Swamiji, in India you people are very lazy, you don't do all this type of work. I just laughed and told him, fool, come to our Indian villages. Each village has got much bigger temple than your university. Each village has got much bigger temple than their university. They trusted the world of outside, outer world. We trusted and we worked towards the inner world. Our lifestyle is different. Our belief system is different. Otherwise, we have also done a lot. Maybe in the modern days, because of cultural invasion, we lost the true meaning behind the temples and temple system. In the recent days, we have lost the key to unlock the great treasures. But if you can relate, and if you can get the right key, the temples will unlock the treasures which are inside you. The treasures, the great treasures of bliss, peace, joy, ecstasy, energy, health, everything can be achieved just through temples. You may think I am making a statement which is illogical. I tell you, how the whatever is related to the satellite stations, you can see them, see the program sitting in your house. You just sit in your house, tune your TV. You will see the programs. Same way, the temples are relay stations of spiritual energy. If you can sit in your house and tune yourself, tuning yourself is what I call meditation. If you can sit and meditate, you can simply fall in tune with the relay stations and receive the energy and experience health and the high energy, peace, everything. See how the battery is discharged. You put it in power to recharge it. Same way, if your body and mind is discharged, we come to the temples which are high energy centers and recharge ourselves. Temples are the place where you can recharge yourself. You can rejuvenate yourself. Temples are the place where the truths are preserved, where the higher truths are practiced and preached. One more thing, an important thing. But in Hinduism, it is a worship altar. There is a major difference between congregation place and worship altar. Congregation place is more like a social institution where they get the information about their activities, where they gather and socialize, spend some time. It's a place for congregation, place for gathering. But Hindu temples are worship altars. People ask me, Swamiji, in Hinduism we don't gather and worship together. Anybody comes at any time and they pray and they go. I tell you, it has got its own value. Here, you directly relate. You come, you offer your being, you rejuvenate yourself, and you live your life. In Hinduism, we don't believe in the institutionalized setup. That's why all our spiritual things are specially designed for individual beings. Individual beings. Somebody asked me, Swamiji, why so many gods in your Hinduism? I told him, in India we have spiritual freedom. In the West you guys have got social freedom. In India we have spiritual freedom. We have choice in spirituality. They have choice in social life. Vivekananda says beautifully, freedom is the basic condition for growth. Any growth, freedom is the basic condition. But in India, we don't have social freedom. Social life is very clear, but you have tremendous spiritual freedom. Be trusted, spirituality is life. That's why so much of spiritual freedom is given. Whatever you think is life, you keep that freedom. In India, we believe the spirituality is base. Life is spirituality. That is the reason we have spiritual freedom to worship many different gods. Not only worship, even if you want, you can even create a new god. No problem with our Hinduism. We have Ishta Devata concept. Whoever you feel, you can relate with them. Worship. I always tell people, we have taste. That is why we created so many gods. We worship so many ideas, so many different expressions of truth. One more thing, whatever you like, you will create varieties in that. You can see. You can see so many varieties of food made out of chili in Andhra. So many different varieties of food, different dishes made out of chili in Andhra, because people love chili here. Same way, whatever you like, whatever you think as the life, you make varieties. The West, they thought social life is the life. That's why they preserve their social freedom. They work only towards social freedom. Here, you have spiritual freedom, where you have plenty of choices in spiritual field. Because we believe life is spirituality. Spirituality is life.